Okay. Hi, Penelope. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Doing fine. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You have a book called Five Star Career, right? Define and build yours using the science of quality management. So I can call you an author, but I think you do more than just write books. Explain exactly what you do.
Sure. So I've, for just about 30 years, I've been working in the pharmaceutical industry. My area of expertise is quality and compliance. So, quality assurance, quality control, quality management, regulatory compliance. Um, so, obviously over 30 years, I've done a lot and kind of worked my way up to where I am now. And now I'm a consultant. I work with quite a few companies to help them with their quality systems and their compliance, inspection readiness, all of these kinds of things. I'm also a writer, and this new book is my sixth book. I've written four novels, and this will be my second nonfiction work. I'm also an artist, and I also have a company with my oldest daughter called Bra in a Box, which is a whole another interesting story, but we own that together. So I do a variety of things, and that's what I love, and it's taken me a really long time, but I really have, at this point in my life, I see how it's all converged and just makes perfect sense. So, and that really ties in with the book. So that's very exciting to me.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you've got a lot on your plate and a lot of things going on. Now, are you a speaker in the sense you said you're a consultant? Do you go in and do talks in front of the group of a company that might hire you to come in? Is that how you work, or do you work individually with the management and the quality people of that particular company?
Well, I do both. I mean, it depends. I have some ongoing clients that for example, one of my clients, I serve as the chief compliance officer for the company. For two companies, I'm serving as the data protection officer. These are smaller companies, right, that are not ready to hire, full-time person. So in those cases, I pretty much am developing their quality systems, managing everything, conducting audits, just the whole shebang, but from very, high strategy, but also either doing the other part myself or getting people that work with me to do it. And then I do go in and present training at companies. I also have a couple of clients that are sort of like C-suite or level that I have sort of coaching with on the things that I'm knowledgeable about. And then the last thing I would say is I do a lot of mock inspections and audits too, but I do a lot of mock inspections and inspection readiness. So that's where I pretend like I'm a FDA inspector, and we plan it, but I go in and sort of put the company through what they should expect in a actual regulatory inspection, and it's a learning process, right? So
Okay, now do you work only with pharmaceutical companies, or do you work with all types of different companies?
I 90% of my work is pharmaceutical, but that also covers what I would call biotech, all the different areas, medical device, those kind of things. I've done a little bit of work in radio pharmaceuticals, but it's all that pharma space. And then I have done a little bit of work with a couple of companies that are more healthcare. How would I call it? They're not medical devices, electronics, that they're developing, manufacturing, and selling, for example, to hospitals or to people for, like your smartwatch kind of thing. I've done a little bit of that too.
How are the companies that you work with, how generally are they doing in terms of compliance? Do they need a lot of help, or are they doing all right on their own?
Every company's different, and my approach is really to help people understand that it's almost like you're a person, like you have your own story. You have. It used to be when I started in the industry in the late 80s, there was big pharma, or the building with everybody in it everybody that was doing what they had to do were in that one building, right? And it was very controlled and everything. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it was kind of the regulations and what we think of quality systems now was really set up for that scenario. But in the last 20 years, and especially the last 10 or 12 years, the industry's like just changed dramatically. So now you may have heard of decentralized clinical trials. We have, all this technology now. There's all these electronic systems. There's so many. I actually created this picture of it one day. I said, I have to create this picture to show this. But it's like, all these avenues for starting a company have popped up, whether it's just going online and learning how to do it or, there's just so many more resources. So we have all of these companies now that are sponsoring clinical trials and startups and all this. And the thing is, they have to abide by exactly the same regulations as, J&J or Merck. So I wouldn't say they're horribly out of compliance, but a lot of them struggle because they don't, they come from they might come from academia, or they might even come from the non-pharma business world, and they don't really totally understand. I mean, they're brilliant people, but they don't really understand the regulations, the whole how it all fits together, right? So that's what I help companies with. And thank goodness I have great clients who are starting that early, because the worst thing is to put it off and then, you didn't do these things, and then, oh, now you've got great trial results, but, and the FDA is going to come, but you don't have the documentation to show what you did and blah, blah, blah. So that's really where I love getting involved. I mean, I work with some really big companies too, but the bigger companies, of course, have, more settled systems in place already, although, it's a continuous process always.
I'm kind of curious why somebody would want to start a pharmaceutical or medical startup company, because the competition against Merck or Pfizer, I mean, it's tremendous. It's almost like trying to start your own car company. They would have to have some kind of a unique patent on something, right?
Yes, and I mean, that's how a lot of it does start. Well, there's different scenarios. Like sometimes the people come out of academia and they say, oh, we developed this in the lab or whatever, and now we're going to take it to clinical trials. We're going to form a company, right? So, and they have hopefully they have a strategy. Maybe they're saying, okay, we want to develop this product through, phase 3 clinical development, and then we want to sell it or license it to a J&J or a Merck. Like they might start out with that being their plan, right? Or they might want to get acquired by the bigger company. Then there's other companies. One of my clients from the get-go, they've said, we want to be a pharma company, and we want to build something really exciting long-term. So they're, they could change their mind, but they're not thinking about selling or, that kind of thing. So I think a lot of people get very excited about the science, right? Which is great. I mean, that's really where it should start in so many ways. And if they have something unique, and they have the funding and they have the people, I mean, they could do it, and I mean, that's the beauty of the American dream, I guess, but what I tell people is, if you're going to decide that you want to be in the pharmaceutical industry, you really have to respect the fact that it's so highly regulated. Like you would never say, oh, I'm going to be in the airline business and I'm going to build a plane, take a bunch of people up, without 100 millionth, percent knowing what you got to do to keep those people safe. I mean, that's easier for us to put our mind around, but it's really the same thing with pharmaceuticals. And I think some, people just, I mean, it's just the way it is. They get real excited about the results and their product. And sometimes they don't, we'll worry about the quality and compliance stuff later, but, and that's what I try to tell people, don't do that,
Well, one thing to be said for that, I mean, that is a good thing, particularly in the United States, because in other countries, pharmaceuticals are less regulated, and you really don't know what's going in the pills or the vaccines or whatever, right? Here, if you buy something over the counter or you get a prescription med, you're pretty well safe to know that it's been scrutinized a million times.
Right.
And that it is what it is.
In Europe, European regulators are very strict too. I mean, even sometimes more so than the U.S. But of course, all the these other countries. I mean, they're different regulators in different parts of the country. But I mean, you're exactly right. And besides applying quality management to your career and personally, this is my other topic I'm passionate about, because I really see, and I talk about this in my book actually, that a lot of people really don't understand how the pharmaceutical industry works, and so that it causes, not everybody, but I think that's part of the reason why some people are afraid, right? Like afraid to take a vaccine or afraid to, and I'm not saying everyone in the pharma industry is, an angel, but anyways, I love being in the industry because I do feel like it has a altruistic, helpful, many of us, we're here because we believe in, developing things that can make life better for people and save lives. And so, it does hurt when people, criticize your industry or say things that don't make sense. And you're like, oh, that could never happen, because they don't understand. So.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting to look at the vaccine debate right now with COVID, because I don't think I've ever seen people so adamantly opposed to a vaccine, any vaccine, as
Right.
they have been with COVID. I mean, this is going back a bit, but when Dr. Jonas Salk invented the polio vaccine back in the 50s, people were delighted and lining up. They had seen what polio did to children, and it was devastating. With this vaccine, what do you think the reason is? Is because it came out so fast that people are just not trusting of it?
Yeah, I think it's sort of a perfect storm. So I could be wrong, but I think it's the first really different big vaccine of, some new medical problem that we've had since the discussion was started about vaccines causing autism, right? So that was a while ago, and then now we have the internet. So it's so much easier to spread, true factual things, but also things that aren't, or, just information that people don't know what is factual or not. And it was fast, but, it's not like we didn't know how to create vaccines. Like we've already done all that, right? So it's incredibly exciting that it was so fast, and the FDA, regulators around the world partnered with companies, again, to try to save lives. And
Right.
I actually was on a team of several, really highly experienced people, and we did a really in-depth audit of a bunch of the Pfizer sites. And so I've also worked with other vaccines, and I know, from someone inside the industry, like when I hear somebody say, oh, don't get the vaccine because there's a chip in there, I just know 10 million% that there's no way that any company, group of companies, country, group of people could ever orchestrate putting a chip in that, getting through those clinical trials, getting past the FDA. You know what I mean? It could not happen, and a lot of people would say, oh yeah, it can happen, but it really, it just couldn't happen. It's just not possible. So I feel really sad that people maybe don't know as much about the industry and how it works and how drugs are regulated and, what the FDA does. And I talk about that in the book because, the FDA and these regulators for pharma and many other industries like aerospace and all of that, they really have developed their methods based on the science quality management. Like that's how powerful it is, and to build and ensure quality. That's why I'm so excited about new applications for this science, including career development, or, building even the life that you want or the career that you want. So that's what over the years has brought me, to that idea and to want to write this book.
We do have to wrap this up. We are out of time. Do you have a website that you want to give out for the book, a personal one?
I do, yes. It's my name, so PenelopePrzekop.com. Just please be sure and spell both first and last name correctly.
Can you spell it out? Go ahead and spell it out. We'll put it up on the screen.
Yes, okay. So Penelope, most people know that, but it's Penelope. Then Przekop is PRZ as in zebra, E as in elephant, KOP. And if you go there, I have all the information that you can, learn about the book, learn about me. I'd love to hear from people. I'm just really excited about this and about talking about it. I actually love talking about the pharma industry with you. That was great, too.
Okay. Well, thanks so much for coming on this show. It was nice meeting you and nice talking to you. Best of luck with the book.